Hiya fam. Now let's get weird for a moment and discuss the gems and the non-gems of our creative process. Hence the frame it or frigid. Technically frigid or frame it. All the same. So I would like to consider myself to be in a state of constant improvement, at least with my artwork. And I say that because, I am always working on it, but I'm constantly learning and testing new color combinations, new techniques, new mediums altogether. And it's fascinating and it's exciting, all that good stuff. But bearing that in mind, not every piece is a masterpiece at all. Some of the pieces that I make are absolute gems, and I am very fond of them, and some of the pieces that I create are definitely not gems. And that's okay. That is part of the process. So how did we get this stupid title? Which, one, I might just be allergic to normal people titles, and sorry, you're just gonna have to live with that. But two, so I will often finish a piece, give it a good look, and just declare it's fridge-worthy. And by that, I mean this is not a high enough quality that I would frame it. I would not put this on my wall, but I would hang it on my fridge. And I feel like all too often it's something where the works that we find ourselves most proud of, those pieces which represent, I guess it's going to be cheesy, but just those pieces where you rose to a specific challenge, and they're not always gems. Sometimes they feel very on par with Macaroni Art, and there's nothing wrong with that. You still rose to that occasion. So the phrase that I personally use in general, I guess especially with my art, is I use the phrase garage band enthusiasm, because that is a good mentality to have, in a sense of, you're energetic and you're excited and it's all good. But with these specific instances, with Macaroni Art, it feels much more on par with what you would expect when you see, a small child coming home from school or from summer camp and basically bursting in the house with the "Mom, I made a painting for you," and just that excitement, So I do not rate my paintings, and I try to not be too critical of my paintings or fixate on flaws or, any of that stuff. But if I were to, I guess, consider tiers for the quality of my work, and this just applies to me. I'm not saying I'm judging your artwork or anything, because I'm the worst critic ever. I see everything and I say, I love it, it's wonderful. I'm terrible. I personally am a terrible critic. But for my stuff, the major tiers that I guess I would consider is, you have the learning experience, fridge-worthy, mom's fridge-worthy, and frame-worthy. Now, this is purely my personal opinion, and it is my personal opinion about the work that I create. And I also try not to judge too harshly, because a lot of things really do just come down to having the mileage on your paintbrush. And that means you are going to make ugly paintings. And that's okay. That is part of the process. But I feel like by having that outlook on it, it very much presents this freedom to have a pride and a fondness for a piece of art that is absolutely not going on your wall. Or, you might put it on a wall, but people will question you putting it on a wall. And it prevents the dichotomy of masterpiece or garbage, nothing else. there is more than just masterpiece and garbage. I'm usually like solid in the middle, like totally adequate, you know? Sometimes we get gems and sometimes we don't. So that is what we're here for. I wanted to today show you actually a little bit of both. So a friend of mine, actually a coworker, she's very pregnant with her first child, who is due next month. It is an absolute delight. Everything is, you know, splendid. I made a few paintings for the nursery, and the paintings I made was actually of funny shaped dice. They were painted with watercolor, sparkly and not, on 12 by 12 grounded canvas, and they are varnished with a cold wax. Now, I'm going to be honest, she is a nerd. And I am talking nerd. We did kind of go with a loose tabletop theme, if you will. So let me pull them out. And it really bums me out because the varnish really, the varnish is matte, so it really undercuts the sparkle. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to show it to you this way, just because if I scan it, it won't show the sparkle, and if I take a picture of it, it's just not as nice, you know? So let's do that. So okay, so this is the D8, the 8-sided die. I guess you could, if we are staying within the theme, you could say that this is for character class, if you will. Let's give it a wiggle. Hopefully you can see some of that. So all of the engraving, this is all sparkly paint, but it is varnished, so it is not as visible. But hopefully you get that. So second out of 3. This is a D10, 10-sided die. You could cite this as character proficiency, maybe, or occupation. What variety of nerd shall we produce? Because let's be real, it's going to be a nerd. This child is going to be a nerd. It's just how that's going to pan out. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we are all, realistically, we're all just a big bunch of nerds. So, and this actually has the comedic value of, you know, of just the random icons that ended up going on. So, you know, you could argue chemistry, technology, literacy, space, cue small amount of this in the creative process. This was the point where we started to have just a wee bit of a panic of like not knowing what icons to add and stuff. So scuba, obviously, hey, it fits. Kid could be a marine biologist, still a nerd, definitely still a nerd. So let's give it a tilt, and I really hope that shows. Maybe not. Let me know, because the matte just kills me. Okay, I'm gonna stop wiggling now. And the last one, perhaps one of the most underappreciated dice. This is of a D12, a 12-sided die. Companion animal. And obviously we rolled a doggo. Friend does have a doggo. Doggo is great. Actually, small anecdotal story, just because I met this dog fairly recently. He's adorable. There was a point I'm giving him treats and he's doing tricks for me. We're just kind of getting to know each other. And we were in a kind of confined space, and he's maybe a medium-sized dog. He's probably 70 pounds or like 30 kilograms. And I asked him to roll over, and the space was too small to roll over. So you see him like start, realize it's not going to work, jump up and spin in a circle. Like, he did his best. And that was the moment that I fell in love. So we had to roll a doggo. I'm just saying, that's what we rolled a doggo. So this, let me give a tilt here. Hopefully, I really hope you guys can see it. You know, it's better in person. But so it wicked bums me out that the varnish is matte, because I put so much sparkly paint on this in all of the icons, but I definitely did want to varnish it so that, you know, it will last hopefully forever. And unfortunately, watercolor varnish options are very limited. Did I bring it? No, of course not. But between that and the fact that, you know, the sparkly paints, they don't pick up on a scanner, it dampens my vibes. You know, it is better in person. This is not giving it justice. I'm just saying, no justice. But the varnish that I use Gamblin, I believe, yes, Gamblin Cold Wax. I have not yet made a video on varnishing watercolor, but a very dear friend of mine has. Her channel is LanaGoesArt, and she actually is the one that showed me how it's done, and she knows what she's talking about. I can vouch because I did it. Check that out. So I'm going to link that for you. And then I also have, so this makes the gems, right? Now for the macaroni art. So, friend also has a baby brother who is much smaller than my baby brother. Does not have the personal thrill of voting and paying taxes, but he just went back to school, and his favorite animal is a fox. So I have a few postcards that I'm going to give her. And here we go. So these are absolutely these are the nicest of the first drafts. Okay, so there's also a lot of sparkly happening here, but these are also varnished, so it definitely undercuts a lot of that sparkle. Now, definitely first drafts, but this is a postcard for a young kid. Do I want it to be perfect? Yes. Is it going to be perfect? No. This is fine, you know. I do varnish these as well, just because I do not want an opportunity to screw it up before it gets to you, and I don't want it to get wonky in the mail. That's the second one. But you absolutely do not need to varnish a watercolor postcard. You can just drop it in the mail, and the vast majority of the time is fine. Pro tip: when you oops on proportions repeatedly, you can always thicken up your line work to smooth it out and pretend it was intentional the whole time. And I can confirm this. It does work like a dream, because people thought that I did that on purpose, and I definitely didn't. Macaroni art. So that is it. That is everything. Can I fit them in a side by side? So, my question for you, my fellow mess makers, do you appreciate your macaroni art? Be real with me. This really, realistically, like, I'll be honest, this probably doesn't count as macaroni art. There was a lot of ugly drafts in the first drafts. These were the nice ones, okay? These were the gems of the macaroni art. But do you appreciate your macaroni art? Be real with me. I do not generally hang my artwork on my fridge, even though I declare a lot of it worthy of my fridge. But do you present your non-gems, even if it is only to, you know, one or two close and non-judgmental friends? Be honest with me. All right, I'm gonna go. Take care. Any questions, comments, what do I usually, questions, concerns, or sarcastic remarks, please do not be shy. Otherwise, until next time, take care.